down the street with the brim pulled way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of his feet.
All right, good afternoon. We're here today to talk to you about Envision and how it can affect your project. We are M&N Contractors. I'm Connor Keating.
And this you, Hunpan.
I'm Max Foreman.
I'm Alex Tucker.
And I'm Michael Ruhr.
So on our agenda today, like I alluded to earlier, we will be talking about what Envision is. Then we'll address how Envision affects the triple bottom line and some project scenarios relating to that triple bottom line. And then we'll talk about how this can impact you and help you as a contractor. So what is Envision? Envision is a holistic approach that looks at the triple bottom line, which is economic, environmental, and social impacts that affect a environment or area. Looking at those factors, Envision has come up with 5 categories and 60 credits that look to improve upon those categories and really deliver the best project possible. With that, it really asks, are we building the right project instead of, is this project right?
So these right projects don't need to be something that's new. You can be working on existing infrastructure. For example, the Catskill-Delaware reservoirs in New York are based upon much older infrastructure originating from the 20s. However, due to multiple revisions of codes and whatnot, the Safe Drinking Water Act of '74 specifically put it out of commission for what it was doing. It was not meeting any of the demands it needed to, especially considering it supplies water to 90% of New York City's residents. So the goal of this update that they had was, with a budget less than $500,000, was to earn an Envision rating while still saving money in the long run and supplying better quality water to all the people, which they ultimately succeeded in doing and earned a platinum rating.
The second project we're talking about is the Permanente Planty in Paris, France. The project was brought up by the city planner in 1983 because of a new development in the city of Paris. There was a huge spark of interest, pointing out preserving a part of Paris history. By renovating the old railway into a new linear greenway, they can decrease the crime rate on the area as well as building new shops around the scene, creating a scenery for the future tourism as well as preserving the city's history.
So the first of the 3 aspects of the triple bottom line of sustainability are the environmental impacts. Envision forces their projects to focus on this category in many different ways, one of which is the way they allocate their resources, specifically emphasizing the use of recyclable materials and regional materials. Also, they put a stress on making sure to reduce the amount of landfill waste projects require and try to focus on recyclable waste. Another aspect of the environmental bottom line is the natural world and how it affects local ecosystems and biology. This is apparent in the 2 projects that we've been focusing on, and that the Catskill-Delaware Reservoir replaced out-of-date infrastructure with a natural means to filtrate the water. And the Promenade Plantee, it also replaced the unsustainable infrastructure with a green walkway, similar to the New York High Line in New York City.
So next up on the triple bottom line is we got social impacts. The way Envision system evaluates the social impacts is through the implementation of a social impact assessment. Essentially just an evaluation that looks to research and determine what those humanistic impacts are going to be of the infrastructure project at hand, and then it quantifies them into a number that can be used to evaluate them in regards to the infrastructure project. As far as the Catskill-Delaware Reservoir is concerned, it serves 90% of the New York City community, so it is incredibly important to the community that this project be done efficiently and as well as successfully. And then for the Promenade Plantee, it again preserved history and maintained the scenery of the city of Paris.
So here, in the final aspect of the triple bottom line, we have the economic impacts of these projects, which is probably the most important, because why would any builder want to go with an Envision rating system? The goal here is to cut back on spending and save money. As we said, with a budget of less than $500,000, they were ultimately able to save $3 to $5 billion by implementing these natural systems instead of building a lot of larger infrastructure systems by covering land with natural filtration systems, which saves money and is long-term usable. Additionally, with Promenade Plantee, they saw an increase in jobs. They actually had a 10% job increase over a 20-year period as a result of a lot of the implementations of the work they were doing.
So why is this important to you, the contractor? We really want to hone in on that social aspect. As a whole, Envision can be a little costly in other aspects, and it's definitely saving the environment, which is good. But as contractors, we care about that economic bottom line, and how we achieve that is by serving the public and serving the social aspects of this system. By getting the people on board and getting them to like us, and by getting them to buy into our ideas, we ultimately allow them to use us again. As the slide states, 70-80% of work is repeat customers. So if we can win the customer and win them over through meeting their social needs, then ultimately we win more work and come out better in the long run.
Just how we can apply Envision to the projects in the future, we can save more environmental friendly. We can implement more environmental friendly tactics to the building process. We can as well as, because we are Envision gets involved with every discipline of the project. Therefore, we have a more user-friendly community within the project, and as well as in the long run, Envision will save money. Just like Michael was talking about, within under $500,000 budget, we can save up to $3 to $5 billion.
If you guys don't have any further questions, that's all we have to present today. Here are our sources. Thanks for listening.